Hello everyone, what's going on? I'm Gareth, the Master974, back again today, and welcome to a follow-up video to something that I discussed towards the end of 2025, which is a situation where Source 2013 single player didn't work on Linux. Now, I do want to give some context as to why I'm doing this video and why I did the original video discussing this issue in the first place. So what I wanted to do was the Gamepad UI follow-up tutorial, which was done before Christmas 2025. And one of the things that I needed to do for the video to actually show you that the Gamepad UI worked on Linux was to test it on the Steam Deck, but every time I tried to launch into a mod, or even the Source 2013 single player application, the mod or the game would crash as soon as it was launched. So that's why I did the original video, because it was something that never happened to me before. There was a new occurrence, and I thought someone out there may have had some knowledge about what was going on, what a potential fix could be, or hell, even try to reach out to Valve and see what they could do. Now, I do need to give a massive thank you and shout out to commenter Rain Origami, not only on YouTube but also on GitHub, for essentially providing me the root mean cause of what was going on. Now, it turns out that the issue was an extension of a similar problem that other Source Engine games were experiencing on Linux back around February of 2025, with games being Left 4 Dead 2, Portal, and Portal 2. Now, you may have heard reports at around this time where Valve broke Portal to the point where it couldn't be beaten, as the game would crash when you tried to load the last level of the game. So the update that they released had to be rolled back and then reapplied later with the game crashing issue taken out. Now, unbeknownst to me at the time that I did these videos back in 2025 around Christmas time, that the issue was actually with the engine.so file and specifically an error which says something to the effect of cannot enable executable stack as shared object requires invalid argument. Now, I don't know the exact reason behind this, and I never got this error no matter what I did, but there's something else to mention, which is that apparently at around the time this issue was first noticed, in around February of 2025, something called glibc or glibc had an update, which apparently didn't seem to include any sort of backwards compatibility, which screwed with older files, and it turns out that all of the Source Engine games were affected by this update. I think Mistletoe said it best, and if you don't know who they are, then check Valve's GitHub page, the Source 2013 code, especially when the Team Fortress 2 code dropped. But what they said was something to this effect. Basically, any use of inline assembly can cause your .so to be put in the state of not having the stack exec flag and not have the no stack exec flag simultaneously. In that situation, glibc just assumes you might need it and says your SO is bad. Now, as it turns out, one of the things you could do is downgrade glibc, and that can solve the problem, but you might not want to do this because, typically you want to be upgrading stuff, not downgrading stuff. But there's another method, which is what I'm going to outline here, which is that you need to get a package called execstack and use it on the engine.so file to fix the issue. Now, by the time you're watching this video, I would have tried to have made Valve aware of this issue over on their Source 1 Games GitHub page. I'll probably leave a link to that in the description and comments, so if you want to, check that out, interact with it, and see if Valve actually does anything to resolve this problem. That's all we can really do, isn't it? Just try to get Valve to fix this without having to do the steps that I'm about to outline. So if you want to get execstack on Debian-based Linux, I think it's fairly straightforward. You just do sudo apt-get install execstack. However, on Arch-based Linux, things are a little bit more complex because you can't just use pacman to get execstack because the package is unrecognized. So what you need to do is go to the AUR, the Arch Linux user repository, to find the execstack package and keep a note of the git clone link. And what you need to do is go into your command line interface, the terminal, the console, whatever you want to call it, and you want to do these commands. So if you're on Steam OS, you want to do sudo steamos-read-only disable to disable the read-only file system because we're going to be downloading and installing packages. If you don't have a password, I think you can just use passwd and it should prompt you to create a new password, type it in again, and that's your password you'd use when using super user commands like this. But then what you want to do is sudo pacman-syu, and that's a capital S. That way it just sort of updates your system. And then you want to do sudo pacman-capital S --needed base-devil git. And I think if you proceed at this point, I'll just show video footage of this, that you might end up with compilation errors because, spoiler alert, we're going to be compiling some code into a package and then installing that package on our system. And there's a couple other things that you're going to need, like header files. So what I would advise you do with the command that I'm telling you about, this base-devil git, then you want to add to that pacman and then libarchive, as you'll see in the video. So that installs all of the required packages that are needed for code compilation. Then after this, you want to go to somewhere like your home directory and open a command line interface there, a console or terminal, and do git clone https://aur.archlinux.org/execstack.git. Then once that's completed, do cd execstack and then make pkg-si, as you'll see in the video. Now, at some point when you do this make pkg-si command, it will look like it's doing a whole bunch of compilation stuff. But all you really want to do is just leave it be and hope there's no errors. And you'll know if it's worked because you'll be prompted to add execstack as a package, as if you used sudo pacman-s execstack to install it as a package. So you just select yes or Y to actually install the package onto your system. And then what you want to do to finalize the sort of process is go to your Source SDK 2013 Singleplayer's install directory, find the bin folder, and then you want to duplicate the engine.so file as to create a backup. So call the backup something like engine-backup.so. And then in that bin folder, open up a terminal or a console, and then do execstack-c engine.so. And then if you're on the Steam Deck, then you can do sudo steamos-read-only enable to re-enable the read-only file system. That way you don't end up messing around with your key files any more than you need to. And what you should find is by doing this execstack command, you can try launching into Source 2013 Singleplayer or any sort of Source 2013 Singleplayer mod, and it should work without any issues. And hopefully it does. Otherwise, we'll have to wait until Valve fixes this issue, and I don't know how long that's going to take after this video goes live, if they're even going to fix it. So as it stands right now, as there's dogs barking in the background, and hopefully that doesn't get picked up in the background audio, but it probably will. That's all I really need to say for this video. That's how you can go about getting Source 2013 Singleplayer working on Linux, at least at this point in time. And yeah, let's hope some good comes out of it. I don't know what I'm going to do with the original video that I did, whether I'm going to leave it public or left as an unlisted video or something. Maybe you can let me know in the comment section down below what I should do about that. And if you found this helpful. But yeah, that's really all I need to say. Take care though, everyone. Peace out. See you later. Have a great day. And hope to see you next time for whatever I decide to do next.